Hello, my name's John. This is my Space Marine Inceptor squad. These are 40mm scenic bases, and you're watching Wargames, Models and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to another video. In the last video, I was putting together the first stages of these scenic bases for my Inceptors for one of my Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine chapters. Now, as I said in the last video, this could be used for any miniature that is a flying miniature, so jump pack troops, or even, say, gargoyles or something like that from Tyranids. Since the last video, I've started doing some Greenstuff work on the bases. So I've done these two here with these boulders, large rocks sitting around the bases. All the other detail that's going to go onto them is going to be through texture paint and so on. I also at the same time put together a small terrain piece with a same style as these bases, so you've got something to tie it together with the bases on the battlefield. So this is a large metal reinforced wall with large bullet holes and things like that in, and also a little surprise for anyone who gets a little bit too close with that little mine from my bits box. And that's the whole point of this project. I'm using up bits, and I'll be doing this in quite a few videos now just to thin out the amount of items I've got hanging around. I'm going to use them to make different models. So on with this video. I've got one base without any green stuff on. You'll see that I've stuck other bits of the remnant plastic onto them to create a little bit more kind of visual cues to the broken rubble and that kind of thing. The next thing I want to do, similar to these ones, is create some boulders to put them on. Now this is a fantastic way of learning how to use green stuff. So obviously you use green stuff to fill gaps and kind of fix little details here and there, but what you can also do with it is sculpt, quite obviously, and you can do the same with milliput as well, or any other two-part putty. And what I'm going to run through in this video is a quick way of just making these rocks, get you used to using the green stuff, and then you can move on to more kind of advanced things. It's not overly complicated to do. You do need a few little sculpting tools or something that you can use as a sculpting tool. But this is my go-to. When I haven't sculpted for a long time, I do tend to create a simple base or something like that where I can create simple textures and that kind of thing to get me back in the mood of sculpting and so on. So what I want to do, I'll probably mix up some more green stuff in a second. I have these boulders and rocks dotted around, and the way that I do that is just by rolling up balls of green stuff and dropping them onto the model itself. Now I'm not too worried where these land, as this is just to get some more visual kind of what am I trying to say? It's to get more kind of randomized kind of texture on there, so it doesn't look too thought out. So now I've got those little balls in place, all I'm going to do with the spoon part of this sculpting tool is I'm just going to push them in place. And this is why rocks are really great to work with if it's the first time you're using green stuff, because a rock can be any shape that you want. So as you push the material around, you're going to be creating rock shapes. sometimes, as you can see, these are moving. You might have to push them into the base slightly. Just to hold them in place. You can wait a while with Greenstuff for it to get to a firmer point to do any sculpting on it, but I do like to just jump straight in when I'm working on things like this, just to create the rough shapes, the rough forms. Okay, so now I'm just going to mix up a little bit more green stuff, and that's one key thing. Don't try and mix it all up in one go. If you mix it up in one go and you're not used to using it, and this goes for any two-part putty, it can be a little bit stressful to kind of make sure everything is in place before it starts kind of firming up and getting hard and so on. And where's the fun in getting stressed while you're hobbying? So I'm doing this video in real time, just so you see how long it actually takes. Obviously, if I was doing all the bases at the same time, I'd work on each one a little bit at a time, rather than the whole thing in one go, like I'm doing with this one. Okay, so that is mixed through, and I'm going to put a few bits on the other side of this model, this base. And I'm not looking for it to kind of be too thought out, these. I just want to drop them in place. And we'll see exactly where it goes. Right, I'll leave those two little bits spare for now. So, all I'm doing, oh, that one is quite, let's push that with my finger a little bit. All I'm doing is, with the spoon side of this tool, is just pushing the green stuff around. I'm going to put another bit in there. And I'm just looking to get some flat surfaces on there to create that look of rocks and large boulders. And I'll switch for another tool in a minute just to add a little bit more detail. But what you'll find, as the green stuff starts to cure, it does become a little firmer. I'm going to switch over to this tool for now. And you can use things like a little bit of soap or something, or water on your tool so it doesn't stick. I tend not to worry about that, but you can do that if you want. And then using the other side of this tool, so what I'm trying to do is make sure but there's no evidence of my fingerprints on these. Doesn't matter if there's a few little lines, because when you paint it, it will kind of add a little bit of detail and texture to it. The whole point of this is just to bulk out this base, get some uniformity to the texture and so on. Okay. Just stuck my finger in that one, so let's just... Okay, I'm happy with that one for now. I do have some more left over, so what I will do is on the little terrain piece that I created, I'm going to add one or two more little sections of boulders, and I think I will add another one just on the edge of this here, just there like that. So let's get my spoon tool again. Obviously, if you're sculpting something with a lot more detail, you want to use some reference material. But when it comes to these kind of rock shapes, it's not something that you always have to worry about. Let's sort this little one out. So what I'll do with this one, I'm going to divide it to make two little rocks, one on top of the other. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay. So there we have the three bases and the little terrain piece. What I'm going to do in the next video is attach the Space Marines to the bases before priming and painting. You don't have to attach them before you do that, but I like to put the whole things together. So that's going to be the next video, where I'll run through how I'm going to attach these Space Marines to the bases. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this little sculpting video. Very basic, but hopefully introduce a few of you to a few techniques for using Greenstuff. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models and Other Hobbies.